Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, I've got myself a new Traxxas, the Mini Maxx. And I know what you're thinking straight away, a bit late to the party on that one, aren't you, Gav? Yeah, kind of spent a lot of money on other stuff that got rather expensive, but I wanted to take a look at this for a few reasons. And the first one is that when I go away with the family, our car boot is very small. So once we throw all the family stuff in, trying to get something like this into the boot didn't really pan out. So when I went away last time with the family, I couldn't take any RC, and it's nice to take something just to play around with when things get a bit boring or whatever. So that's why I talked myself into maybe this is the way to go. Now, I bought this from Model Tune, cost me £309. So that's my first kind of Traxxas. What have you been sniffing? £309, but we'll come on to that a little bit later. So let's open it up and take a look at it. Right, so this is what you actually get in the box, and I know there's been lots of videos out there already on this one, so I'm going to keep this pretty brief. Also, I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole with this one, which we'll talk about in a bit. So the first thing you get is your manual, usual stuff that you get from Traxxas, nothing special, blah blah blah. Then you get a very basic transmitter. This is the bottom of the range one that they do, and it's massive. And that kind of leads me on to one aspect. It would have been nice if they'd have actually bothered to put a smaller transmitter, as the whole kind of point of this is that you can throw it in your bag and then go out and drive. So yes, they made the car smaller, but now the transmitter is actually quite large. But you can fix that yourself, obviously, down the line. Then we actually get a Traxxas battery, 3,500 milliamp, 2S LiPo. So I suppose for that £309 that we're asked to pay, at least you get a battery. Then you get a USB charger. Dinky little thing. Normally write these off, but this one, when you look at the specifications on it, aren't that bad. But you're going to need a decent USB plug to really take advantage of what this little thing can do. But you're looking at probably around 2 hours to charge up that battery. Obviously, if you've got a fast charger, you're going to use that. But being that it's tiny, and if you're going to go away, I kind of like that. So for once, I am interested in possibly using that when I'm away. Then we get to the main thing itself, the car. And yes, good looking bit of kit, that's for sure. What scale it is? Well, nobody knows. It could be anything. So this is a Mini Maxx up against a 1/16. This is the JRX Hyper Go, absolute tank. Reviewed it on the show. So you can see it is substantially larger than the 1/16. So this is the Mini Maxx against a Bonsai. This is 1/14 scale, but look, you can really see just how massive Traxxas went with the wheels on this one. But as for the chassis, yeah, it still is a lot bigger than a 1/14, which kind of means it's got to be 1/12, right? Sorry to interrupt your viewing pleasure. Would you like to win the chance to win one of these, an RC10 four-wheel drive new in box for less than the price of a coffee? Well, now's your chance, because I'm raffling off one of these. Comes with free worldwide shipping to your door. So what are you waiting for? Actually, watch the video and then go to the link in the description, or just Google Raffle's RCKicks. The wheels are huge, and like most people have covered already, tyres are different front to rear. Must admit, tempted when the tyres run out. Should you put soft on the front like you've got on the rear? Would that be a better way to go to improve your handling if you're driving on tarmac? Maybe. I honestly don't know. Now, I went with green, as most of my RCs from Traxxas are green. Having the Wide Max now that Rebecca has, and then I've got a couple of slashes. I've got the Ultimate Slash 4x4, two-wheel drive slash, and I've also got my X Max and my Max Slash as well. So it fits quite nicely into the whole kind of range that I've got. And I finally added another hero Traxxas that I've wanted for ages to the collection, but it's not green, it's actually orange. But you'll have to wait until later in the video to find out what it is. Removing the body is really nice. I like this. We need this on a lot more kits for sure. Tamiya, especially you, would be nice to move away from body clips. One thing, if you look at this body from the Hyper Go, it has roof rails as standard and a protector on the rear, whereas the Mini Maxx doesn't. You can add them and they are available, but you're going to pay more for them. Not only is it missing the skid plates on the top and the rear to protect the polycarbonate body, but when you flip them over, There is no protection inside whatsoever apart from the clipless body mounts. Whereas if you pick something like the Hyper Go, which is a much cheaper RC, yeah. And this one is a clipless body as well, but a little bit more protection. Now this is a dedicated 2S. Now it's got in it the BL2S brushless system in it. And it is a brushless motor, even though it kind of looks like it's not because it's ventilated. Also, you get a standard 1/10 2056 servo in it, which is obviously plastic. That's 5.76 kg and reasonably easy to work on. A few things that worry me, and normally, if I'm honest with you, when I'm going to review cars, I don't tend to watch other people's YouTube reviews because I don't want it to interfere with what my own personal opinion is. But being that this has been out for so long now, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with it. And the problem is this. Most people that have this, if you take it to the skate park and you drive it around the skate park, 2S is pretty much fine. The problem is if you put it on tarmac or you've got some open ground, 2S is a little bit lackluster. So a lot of the YouTubers have been going along and throwing in the VXL 3S ESC combo that you can fit into this, as the car will actually take it because it bolts through to here and you can actually get the adapter plates now and you can fit it. So you can make it 3S. Two problems with that. And the first one, price. Being that this is £309 to get this far, then in the UK, the combo, you're looking at £182.66. So you're kind of pushing £500. And that would be okay if that was all you had to do. Unfortunately, this rig will not run 3S for very long before people are breaking it. And the reason they're breaking it is the diffs can't cope with it and the prop shaft ends can't cope with it as well, as it doesn't have a center diff or slipper. So what happens is loads of power, you land, it then sends shockwaves through the whole drive line and then breaks stuff. And then that gets expensive. So if you want to run 3S in this, and this seems to be across the board, the problem is you're then spending even more money. And I looked it up. Prop shaft needs to be shortened, so you have to buy another one of those. Then there's a gear that you have to change to match as well, so that's another few pounds. So if you want to run this on 3S and you want it to actually last you, you're going to be sinking in some pretty heavy money. And unless you like and are willing to pay for the small form factor of this one, it totally makes no financial sense whatsoever. Because at that price, you're getting into way better cars. That you can get lots of slashes, armors, and then it just feels super expensive. Massive thank you to Model Tune for sponsoring today's video. They've also hooked me up with a 5% discount code. So if you're looking for some RC good stuff, you could save yourself a few pounds. So what are you waiting for? Head over there and check them out. They do everything from race electronics all the way to Traxxas. So if you're in the market for some RC good stuff, check them out. You never know, you could save yourself a few pounds. Now Traxxas got into this because it's a booming little market. But is it booming because it's small, or is it booming because the price points of competitors is really quite reasonable and you have a lot of choices? And that's where it gets a little bit squirmy, as when you're paying £500 odd for this one, it doesn't really make sense. So the only thing I can think of that I would recommend personally on it is buy it for what it is, drive it as it is, and do nothing to it. Just enjoy it for what it is. If you then find out that it's too slow for you, you're going to have problems because you're going to have to sink a hell of a lot of money into it. So that's my main concern. Is this going to be quick enough to satisfy what your expectations are from a Traxxas? So I'm going to charge up the battery and now we're going to take it out. And then after that, I'm going to show you this. I finally have one. Yes, I've got myself a UDR. This is not brand new. I managed to pick this up secondhand, but in beautiful condition. So stay tuned and we'll cover that as well. Oh, yes. So I invited my daughter along, she's 11 years old, to have a go with this, as I thought a lot of people would be interested in getting something like this for younger children, so I wanted to get her take on it. So she got to drive it and play around with it for a bit. Now the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to run it on some rough grass. So this is quite a rough ex-ploughed field, because being that it's a small scale, how it can handle rough terrain really dictates where you can and can't drive it. So this is probably about as rough as you'd want to be able to drive it, and it handled it okay. I did put the suspension collars on to stiffen up the suspension, and that was totally the wrong thing to do, as you can see here, it just bounces over. So after I did another walk all the way over to get it like now, I decided to remove the collars and have the suspension in a very soft setup, which did improve things. It means it could absorb the bumps a bit more, and if you're going to be driving on this kind of terrain, you definitely want to go that way. But being that its scale is really against it, whereas on this kind of ground you want to be running something a bit bigger and you'll find it can handle it a lot easier. But if you're in normal flat grass, I don't think you're going to have a problem, but really the place to be driving this is exactly here. A bit of tarmac with a load of dust on it. The car slides beautifully all over the place. Now I can kind of understand why they did hard compound on the front and then softer on the rear, so the car does understeer. So I would be interested to see what it's like to run soft on the front. Would it turn in a bit better? So that's something I might do later on if the tyres start to wear or if I rip a tyre. Now the big question that everyone has been kind of trying to answer is it fast enough? Now, I would say yes, on this kind of environment, this is plenty of power. You don't need to be going and throwing 3S in it. Honestly, just stick with what's in the car. Don't listen to the YouTubers and don't go pimping the life out of it. You'll sink way too much money into this and then you just end up breaking stuff and then you've got to upgrade it. I found that on this kind of dirt, I could have loads of fun with it and it will just go on for ages without you breaking tons of stuff. Obviously, if you take it to a skate park, that might be a bit different. But I think this whole thing about throwing 3S in this and then the negative aspects of it damaging the running gear and then having to spend a lot of money on it, and then before you know it you're $500-600 into this, and then you might as well just go and buy something that can handle it and comes 3S straight away. So on this occasion, don't listen to YouTubers, just buy it and drive it, and if you break it then maybe you can upgrade it. I'm pretty sure Traxxas will probably bring a VXL version out, and then it will come with all the upgrades that the driveline needs to survive that kind of power. But until that day, if you're thinking about getting one of these, don't upgrade it. There you go. Now the other thing that's a bit of a challenge is if Traxxas do bring out a 3S VXL version, how much is it going to cost? Because if you look at what it costs to have one of these and upgrade it, you're into the £500-600 or $500-600. It's a bit of a hard sell to get something like this when you could easily be looking at getting something much bigger and comes 3S. And then whether you go down the Armour route or the Traxxas route, even Traxxas offers some very competitive other cars that you're going to get into for not a lot more money. And I think that's where this one kind of struggles, especially in the UK. But overall, I had a real blast with it. Look at it, it zooms around all over the place and it doesn't need any upgrades.
I just wanna take you home, so you still grip and make it on your own. Lady, you've got a claustrophobic mind, and I am not the vagrant kind. Baby, I just wanna take you home, so lose the grip and make it on your own. Lady, you've got a claustrophobic mind, and I am not that vagrant kind. Not that vagrant kind.
So what do you think, Pops?
It's quite good.
You quite like this one?
Yeah.
Would you say it's fast enough for you?
Yeah, it's quite fast.
So this is going to be just a quick look at my UDR. I'll do a whole other video and then we'll start doing some mods on it down the line. But I've wanted one of these for ages, but in the UK, these are very, very expensive. So that's why I went for a used one. The problem we have in the UK is that used prices, people still want big money for them, even though they've absolutely abused them. And it doesn't make much sense because if you have to replace this body, it's like 100 and something odd pound. And then if you need to add one or two other bits to it, you're basically at the price if you bought a brand new one. So I've been on the hunt for one for a while, but I managed to find this one, and this was offered to me at a really, really good price. So a massive thank you to Matt for letting me have this one. Not only did he give me this at a reasonable price, but he also threw in two pretty much brand new batteries as well, and a charger for it. Now for me, that's brilliant because the one downside to this car is it has a really strange battery box, and it's very proprietary. You basically come in here and then you take this out here, and then you get access to it here. The thing that's really weird is that the actual battery plugs in here. So you're actually plugging into the chassis of the car, which is iffy because if you wanted to change to different plugs, you basically got to carve all this out. So having the correct batteries does make life a little bit easier for me, but also the actual space where you put the batteries is quite limited. So when you put in the two batteries, you're basically right at what it says. So obviously having the correct batteries is a lot easier than trying to fudge around and make it work and then having to cut bits and pieces off. Being that I have got other Traxxas that I run, I don't mind so much. I have a lot of other batteries that are not Traxxas, but they've got Traxxas connectors on them. So charging up Traxxas for me is not that much of a problem at all. So that's one of the downsides to having a UDR, but you can actually fix that. There is ways to get around it. Now, a lot of people have commented, this is not a hardcore basher, this is a realistic truck. Exactly, that's why I wanted it. I have the X Max for that, and I have my Max Slash, which are going to be way more hardy than this. The reason I love this is because it is actually based on a real car, and they kept all the engineering to be pretty much exactly the same with a solid rear axle. So there you go. I'm just so chuffed to have this one, and it will be back on the show. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. This will be back on the show really soon.